Hi everybody. Today we're going to make a traditional dish that my family made for years. It's going to be sausages, vinegar peppers, and potatoes. This is a dish that comes from Lazio, the area that my grandmother's from, and we're going to make it with sausages today, whereas a lot of people do this with pork chops or chicken, but I love this method. I'm using sweet Italian sausages. We're going to make this with beautiful vinegar peppers that I buy in a jar. Potatoes, you can make it with red bliss potatoes, or I'm going to use Idaho potatoes, and a little bit of garlic and onion. Olive oil is also in this recipe, along with a dry white wine and some chicken stock. So the first step is to oven roast your sausages. This is a really easy method rather than sautéing them in a pan where they can stick. So I just place them on a cookie sheet, no oil, nothing, no parchment paper, and we're going to roast them in a 400-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. I'm placing my cookie sheet right in the center of the oven. Always place something in the center so it cooks evenly, and I'm going to put the timer on for 15 minutes. Okay, so the rest of our ingredients is going to be an onion that's been peeled and sliced. I want the onion sliced because it's more rustic, and that is a rustic dish that we're doing today. I also have about 5 minced garlic cloves. We're going to have 2 Idaho or russet potatoes. As I mentioned before, you can use a red bliss potato, but this is traditional. We're going to peel these and slice them. I have some dry white wine, and you would always want a white wine with this dish. And this particular one is Orvieto, but it doesn't matter as long as it's dry. I have extra virgin olive oil. In Italy, the Italians cook with extra virgin olive oil almost all the time, and it just makes their food taste wonderful. One of the most important parts of the recipe are your vinegar peppers. You can buy these anywhere. They're jarred, they're packed in vinegar. Mine are sweet green peppers, but you can also use cherry peppers, which come in red and green, and you can cut those up. These are pre-cut. I'm going to season my dish with kosher salt. I always use kosher or sea salt because it has great flavor. It doesn't have iodine in it, and it makes all the difference in the world, and it's lower in sodium too. And a fresh pepper grinder. There's nothing better than fresh pepper in your ingredients, just has a brighter flavor. So I'm going to peel my potatoes. I'm using a russet potato, and you could use a golden potato. They work well too. Peel that and slice it, or red bliss potatoes would also work. So I like to make sure that I get all of the little bits of the potato, the eyes, or anything that didn't work with the potato peeler. Just clean it up, and then we'll wash it because a potato almost always has some dirt on it, and even if you wash it ahead of time, that dirt can sometimes get on the potato. So I'll do that as soon as this is ready to go. If you want to peel your potato ahead of time to make this dish, make sure you put it in some cold water, and that will preserve it and make it not turn discolored. That's in pretty good shape, and now I'm going to give this a quick rinse in cold water and peel my other potato. My potatoes are totally cleaned and washed, and I'm ready to slice them. I would say the slices should be about 1/2 inch so that they hold up in the pan and don't dissolve. I'm getting my potatoes onto a plate so that everything is ready to go. Here are my vinegar peppers, and we are going to use the vinegar that's in them. It's the perfect thing to use for this dish. Don't try and use vinegar from a bottle. This will taste great. I'm taking about 1 cup of my vinegar peppers out of the jar. They're all pre-cut for me, so this is pretty good. I don't have to do much with them. If I see a large pepper, I'll just cut that down a little bit, but I kind of like to have them big. This one's a little bit too big, so I'll probably cut that one down. So here I have about 1 good cup of vinegar peppers, and this will work with our 1.5 pounds of sausages. If you increase your recipe, you can always add more. It's very forgiving. I'm going to take some of the vinegar out right now. We're going to put about 1/2 cup of vinegar aside. So I have a non-stick fry pan. You don't have to use one, but I think they're great for the potatoes because they can be pretty sticky. So if not, you'll be fine with your stainless steel pan or aluminum or whatever you're using. I'm putting my heat on to about a medium, and I'm going to measure out about 1/4 cup of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and you may need just a touch more later if your potatoes are sticking. So you can put this in the pan right away. You don't have to heat the pan first, but we do want our olive oil to get a little bit sizzly. Swirl it around, and how do you know when it's hot enough? You can see a little bit of a ripple going on, or you can take a wooden spoon and put the edge of the spoon in the pan and see it sizzle, and then you're ready to cook. So in goes my onions. And when you hear that noise, that's perfect. And right away, I like to put my salt in. Why? Because the onions sweat and all those juices come out. I have about a teaspoon. You don't have to get too fussy about it, about a teaspoonful. And what I'm going to use for my onions is a tong, because I'm just going to mix them up a little bit to get the oil coated on them and some of the salt mixed in. And then I'm going to leave them alone for, I don't know, a few minutes to let them start cooking. So my sweet sausages have been cooking for about 15 to 20 minutes, and they're ready to come out. So I'm going to detach the sausages from each other. I like to do this afterwards so that I don't open the sausage up while it's cooking. And don't worry if they're a little sticky. That's a good sign that they've roasted nicely. Look at the bottom of them. That's going to give a beautiful flavor to this dish. All right, so now I'm stirring them again. This is about my second or third time. And when my onions start getting really soft and I see a little bit of brown and they're not so white anymore, they're getting a little translucent, I can add my garlic. I wait to add my garlic because I don't want it to burn in the beginning. So in it goes. Give it a little bit of a swirl. And just make sure that your garlic does not burn, okay? My heat is on about a medium high, and I think it's good right now, but I'll keep my eye on it. So I'm going to give them another swirl because I'm really feeling that they've got a nice softness to them. They will still cook just a little bit after I finish the dish and add all of the rest of the ingredients, okay? So let me give them about 1 more minute, and then they're coming out so I can put the potatoes in this sauté pan. Okay, so I think we're ready to go. Scoop out your onions, get them in the bowl, but try and keep the rest of your olive oil in the pan because you want to use that for your potatoes. And like I said, if you need a little bit more, you can do that. So let me just move some of this out of the pan. Don't worry if your garlic has a little bit of a brown to it. You're toasting it up and it's going to taste great. Just be careful not to burn it, not to let it get black. All right, so we'll put our onions aside and we'll add them back in later. So now here comes our potatoes, okay? And we want to get those in. I'm going to switch over to a spoon so I can deal with these guys in a better way. Spread them out. You want to make sure that they're really getting coated with some of that olive oil. And if your potatoes end up sticking too much or you feel that they're too dry, in the pan, they're absorbing the oil, you can absolutely add another couple of tablespoons, 1, 2, or up to 3. I really don't want to move my potatoes around very much. If you do, they'll never cook. So give them a chance to get a little bit of brown on the bottom, to cook on one side, and then we can flip them over. So I'm going to take my sausages that cooled off a little bit, and I'm going to cut them in discs. You can keep your sausages totally whole and in one piece, but this makes it much easier to eat. Don't worry if there's a little smidge of pink. These are totally done, but they will keep cooking. I'm going to grab a spatula now to get my potatoes flipped over. You can see how beautiful and golden brown they are, and don't worry if there's a few garlic bits that have darkened. You can either pick them out or you won't even know. I've flipped my potatoes, and not all of them have browned the same way, and that has to do with the way the heat distributes in the pan. So I'm putting my golden brown side potatoes off to the edge a bit, and I'm moving my potatoes that aren't quite browned into the center. I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil to the pan, probably a couple of tablespoons. And I don't even have to measure it. I'm just going to pour it right into the bottom of the pan. There's about 1, and we'll distribute that other one. And now I'm just going to leave them alone to keep cooking. You could put a lid on these if you want to speed up the cooking. That's up to you. So I flipped my potatoes once again, and don't worry if some of them don't seem to be 100% cooked. When we add our liquids, we're going to have wine in here and chicken stock and vinegar. These potatoes are going to finish cooking in probably 5 minutes flat. I'm adding my sautéed onions and garlic. The smell is just awesome. Now I'm going to start adding my liquid ingredients. So I have my vinegar. So my liquids are in there now, and I'm going to mix all of this up and then add my vinegar peppers and my sweet sausages that have been cooked. Look at how beautiful this is. I'm going to let this cook maybe for about 5 or 8 more minutes. I'm actually going to season it too, which is optional, with a little bit of red chili pepper flakes, which is very classic. And I'm just going to add a small amount. Not everybody likes their dish so spicy, so always under spice, and then people can just add later. Let me mix this in. And I'm now going to cover this with a lid. You don't have to do it, but it will speed up the process of cooking. It will just help those potatoes finish off cooking. I'm going to let this cook for about 5 more minutes. So I'm removing the lid now to take a look at my beautiful sausage vinegar pepper dish. It smells incredible. I'm going to give it a little bit of a flip. And then I'm going to try a potato out, because everything else is really cooked. The sausages, the vinegar peppers, so the potato is the secret to make sure my knife goes through. So that's pretty tender. Let me try that one. That one needs a little bit more time. You can see it's one that didn't brown, but I would say maybe only about another 2 or 3 minutes for that. So let me get my lid back on, and we'll give this just a couple of more minutes. At the end of my cooking, I always like to add a little bit of extra salt and of course grind some pepper into the dish. I find it tastes fresher when you do your pepper at the end. So here I am with the kosher salt, probably just a little tiny bit of a sprinkle, and this will really pop the dish, even though it's got such vibrant flavors. And cracked black pepper towards the end. Let me spin that around a little bit, get all those great juices moving, coat my potatoes. And it's great to put this on a really nice platter for your company. Those extra few minutes finished off my potatoes. This could also be made with turkey sausage. It's not the same at all, but if you would feel better about that, if that's what you eat, you can certainly do this dish with another kind of sausage. Get every bit of juice that you can. And here's our dish of Italian sweet sausages with vinegar peppers and potatoes. Please enjoy.